So there is the father and then a lot of mothers, another father, a lot of mothers, another father-in-law. But when you come to the top, what you're seeing is a cross, and the cross is basically indicative of you come out of the ground and you go east and west, and at the end you go up into the sky. You go outside the realm of this planet, past the sun, towards the Oort cloud, Oort being the word translated to root cloud, from which all the comets come and bring new chemistry and new metallurgy that will bring different kinds of life on the planet. If you go through trial and error, as evolution usually does, what you have is an ongoing testing of the system. You get a concept that says muscles, strength is most important, and you build animals called dinosaurs. These dinosaurs, by the way, have dino at the beginning, which is linked to the word dean. And the dean is linked to the guy who has all the knowledge at the university in a special field. And in Pasadena, it's how they pass it on, through the information given for the year in the Ruse Bowl Parade. A ruse is a scheme. B, owl. Ruse B, owl parade that happens there. In any event, from the second group of people, the brown people, sent one of their team out to Africa to begin the process of taking over Africa, while they sent the yellow team out to China and the rest of the area around the area of the East to do skull and bones trial and error tests on what makes the smartest man, what makes the strongest man, what makes whatever, because they had proven to themselves in the earlier experiments that dinosaurs may be the most powerful animal in the world, but that does not make them significant. So when they were able to manufacture human beings with a divided brain, the history in the spine, the reason in the head, there was a destruction that came about of the dinosaur and a building of the human being. That's all activity done by creation as it tests out different systems. Here you have the kidnapper of the evolutionary system of creation, and you begin to have an engineering of the system of creation by a top dog who calls himself God, who wants you to love him, adore him, is even buying you bigger bucks. In any event, this group of brown people goes and sets out a model for what they have to do, and they are wanderers from India, and became known as gypsies, and they are brown in color, and they start building as priests this Giza plateau and all of the statues in there that have the three approaches: corporate approach, government approach, and then the media in the middle. But the cat on the side is representative of who really is managing this, the media on the side, the big giant tiger over there called the Sphinx. But as they build this and use African people as their employees, they start to have relations between the two groups and get into trouble because that intermingling of the black African and the brown Roma now creates an off color, which is mulatto, and disturbs the plan for the moment because they're having a lot of trouble telling on whose team the players are. So they pull back the authority they had given to these Egyptians, gypsies from India, and India at the time included a place we now call Pakistan as well. Pak is tan. Pa, mission, is tan. Another group of people has to be created because they need to find out how to get off the planet and fly. Now, you can do all kinds of experiments when you're living in a cave or underground, but flying is not one of them. So what they need to do is create a different Asian that flies. And the Asian is considered the chicken, lays all the eggs, makes all the people over there. But the rooster that flies is going to be called a cock Asian. And it's going to have its beginning at the edge of a place they call Turkey. So the turkey is going to be the watcher of activity, and the Caucasian is going to live on the rest of the European continent. And down the road, when it comes time to go into space, they'll have to create a laboratory, ended up being called America, after their head office in Susa, USA. IC, which is in America, from sea to shining sea. And of course, before they decided on building America where it was, they had to have certain conditions that matched those of Europe. And the conditions would be tied to a knowledge that this particular place on the planet, this quarter of the planet between the southern hemisphere and the Arctic, this quarter of the planet around the entire world, could be emptied of its population once the shelf life of these people had expired. And they all had to fit within the same quarter of the planet as the Asians that they had put up there, leaving the southern part of the American continent, South America, not as we know it, but from a certain point in South America going down to survive this shelf life, leaving the southern part of Africa to survive this, and of course Australia, and depending on where you're sitting and from their point of view, Australia is basically in the middle